What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka ToeTagginTambo, back for another PGA show, and not just any PGA show. We got the first major of the season, the Masters, our favorite time of year. It's going to be a great show. Got a lot to cover and go through it. And I know there's a ton of content out there right now. It won't be the same. That's the benefit of SHIPIT Nation and what we do. We're talking about how to win DFS tournaments, how to play, how to apply game theory, leverage, correlation, if any. In this case, we're going to be talking more about the chalk and the bad chalk, good chalk, people, how they can play it together. Typically at the Masters, a big chalk week, but I got my guy Hoopster here with me as always. We will be doing the $1,000 YouTube giveaway for 10K subs at the end. So we'll break all that down. We've got a winner randomly drawn, so we'll talk about that at the end. Hoopster, our favorite time of year, buddy. We're back. Augusta National Golf Club. We got the Masters. What's going on, my friend? How you doing?
Yeah, I mean, any golf fan, I mean, this is like the Super Bowl essentially, and it's kind of weird. Obviously, schedule early on in the PGA schedule, but it's the biggest event, so iconic. Just symbolizes so much, not only like in the golf world, but like if you're in like a cold weather state, the weather's about to turn, the timing, like everything is just amazing. I mean, it's such a fun week. The contest for DFS are massive. There's so many different pools and things that you can get into, different sort of contests that we're going to touch on obviously later as well. But man, it's the marquee event, and kind of the first time we get the live guys back in the mix as well. So a lot to be excited for. And like you said, we'll go through, we'll do some builds with Sabre as well. It's going to be a fun show, and, looking forward to diving into it with you here.
Yeah, spoiler alert, we're going to use the full hour today. So I'd imagine that for the Masters. Yeah. Shout out to Jay Steele, got in first. Jay Steele last night on the mound too, by the way, if you're playing some baseball over there and with SaberSim, but Jay Steele upgraded to the SaberSim package yesterday. Yeah. So shout out to Jay Steele. He's always been around, helping us out, supporting the brand. We appreciate you. And I mean, some people are coming back for the Masters. So you saw the intro, but if you don't know, we do have the partnership with SaberSim now. It's extremely affordable if you compare it across the industry, what it costs to get in at SHIPIT Nation. And there is a special promo right now. We'll hit it a couple times throughout the show, but shout out to our guy, DGen75. There is no better deal than $24 for the entire month. I've seen $27, $28 a week for golf only, $24 for the first month. We want you to be able to try everything. That includes the SaberSim core package, which allows you to build up to it builds 250 lineups, of which you can pull 150. So more than most people even need. But for those that do MME, they still have that available. It's all of our projections, ownership. You get the stone, all that, but you get every sport. We got UFC pay-per-view coming up this weekend. We've got MLB is back. Shout out to our guy Rio and many of the members, but big scores to start the season in that. We've got NASCAR, MMA. I saw Kenny out there, Shaloub, and I think it was Shaloub and Kenny 1-2 in the 3180 for PGA over the weekend, 100K to first and then 50K to first. So just a ton of great stuff going on. But if you use that code DGen75 on the $99 a month plan, you can get a full month for $24. It includes the Discord. That's what we usually charge for just a week. Hoops, or anything else you want to cover there before we break this thing down?
Yeah, I mean, it's the best deal out there. I mean, you see everybody now. Everyone out there is a PGA DFS experts. Everyone's got their podcasts, their YouTube shows, people that have never even probably played PGA DFS, pretending like they know what they're talking about, running shows and podcasts. I mean, it's absolutely wild to me, but this is the spot. Like, we have the receipts to back it up. You saw it last weekend in a big way. It's been basically every single weekend. Either the main slate or the showdown slate, where somebody in our community has taken it down in a big way. Last week was a perfect representation of that. And this deal is the best. I mean, $24, and you get SaberSim access as well. And you get Discord access as well. You literally cannot beat it. I mean, these other sites trying to sell you on you need their projections and ownership. Well, like, their most recent guys are in our Discord as well. Like, people know this is the home for PGA DFS. If you're out there and you're looking to get some content, this is a spot. And I always say it. I have no problem saying it. I know content's not for everyone. If people don't want to pay for content, they want to come for the free YouTube shows, great with that too. We love our YouTube community. We appreciate all the support building up this channel. But if you are somebody looking to get some additional content for Masters Week, like, this is the spot to go. DGen75 is the code. You're not going to find a better deal. I can promise you that. If you do, hit us up, but I don't think it's going to be possible, because this is the best deal, and it's going to be a hell of a week. Very, very excited.
Less than $1 a day. Yeah, I'd be curious to see Hoops order from the Masters menu as well, but let's break this thing down. Let's get into it. We're going to have a conversation. The pricing is pretty interesting too, Hoops. So just off the top, I mean, when not getting right to it, I know you're going to pull up Sabre and we'll do some other stuff before that, but just talking a grand scheme overview on this slate, I think they did the pricing pretty good, right? You do have to sort of make some moves, especially if you want to play Scotty. There's enough of a delta and difference between Scotty and Rory. Then it drops down. You do still get a small 10K range, the 9K, 8K, pretty much what you would expect. And then the 7K range is, I think it's a little smaller than usual or what we've seen lately, but obviously the field at this tournament is smaller, but 20 guys in the 7K, and then some names like last week's winner, Brian Harman, in the 6Ks amongst others. So we'll get there, but grand scheme overview for the Masters and just the DFS style of play. Like I talked off the top and in our Discord, everybody says everybody's chalk, but you usually do need some of the chalk at the Masters. Of course, history, super solid. It all adds up here. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and just one other side note, UFC pay-per-view this weekend as well. So if you get in this week, you get all our content for that title, Big Money. And actually, your boy will be on the show Friday afternoon as well, Friday 1 Eastern, myself and title. So you can get my UFC takes as well this week on this channel. The overview, though, I agree with you. I think the pricing is solid. Like, Scotty coming in at 12-4, and then we're seeing that gap still between Scotty and Rory down to 11-1. But a lot of appealing guys, I'd say from like 9,600 up. Justin Thomas up. Most of these guys are appealing plays in some way, shape, or form. Like Scotty, Rory, Morikawa, John Rahm, Bryson, Xander, Justin Thomas, and the one that I think is going to be very low on, which we'll get to, is Ludwig, just because of the recent form and the price tag. But everyone else in that range, I'd say, is somewhat appealing to the public. And then I think there's a little bit of a gap and a lot of questions. And I think I do definitely want to spend some time on this not mid 9Ks from like Hideki down to, I don't know, like Tyrell Hatton. Like, I think there's like a decent chance that a lot of those guys go very, very overlooked. So I think, again, yeah, just back to your point, I do agree. I think the pricing's solid. We have a lot of appealing guys in this upper tier, and I think there's a chance it gets spread out. And it is going to be easy to play them, don't get me wrong, because there's a plethora of guys in the 6K range. You touched on one, last week's winner is in the 6K range. People are probably going to be interested in playing him. So you can definitely get these guys, but it's going to come down to roster construction. Very curious, because I haven't run it yet, to see what sort of builds the optimizer is liking this week.
Yeah, I think we'll go in reverse this week, because if we start here and just talk about a little bit, I kind of want to talk, because the main thing and the conversations around the chalk and the steam and all this, I do think one of the interesting things about the way they did the pricing is it does kind of give us those pockets early. Like today's only Tuesday afternoon. I already feel pretty comfortable that up top is Scotty or Rory decision. After that, it's actually Morikawa or Rahm. I think people are very interested in that. You mentioned Ludwig. I don't see a world where he's not squeezed in this spot because he's almost 11K. And while people probably wanted to play him here, I don't know if they will. And the other thing is even Bryson. There's Bryson truthers out there, but it's clearly Xander. Like Xander at 9,700 is going to get love because he's Xander. A lot of people pegging him in, saying this is odd. Last year, he's a two-time major winner. He would have been right up there with Scotty and Rory, but now he's getting disrespected at 9,700. People like him. After that, I think Lowry's interesting for a little bit of steam, and maybe Cantlay will surprise people there, but mostly goes down to Bobby Mack and Connors, Sepp Straka, Patrick Reed. I think Sergio gets the love. And then I actually think guys like Spawn, Harmon, Glover, some of those guys down low, and then maybe like the JT Post and Denny McCarthy options right down at 6,500. But is there anybody else that sort of stood out to you that they will be popular here, or does that sort of cover the pockets of who's popular and where versus obviously the others would not be?
Yeah, I think it does. Like I said, I think a lot of those guys up top get ownership. Like you mentioned, all of them except Ludwig in some way, shape, or form. Maybe, I don't know, around 15% or above, with the exception of Ludwig. Then there's a gap like in that 9K, like talked about. Then you start to see, I think it's the names that you mentioned. Shane Lowry. I don't mind that Cantlay call in terms of maybe getting sneaked up, just because it's the lowest price we've seen on Cantlay maybe like ever. I don't know. Like I can't remember. It's been a long time since Cantlay's been below 9Ks, coming in at 87. So people are going to like that price tag. Henley's been playing well. You mentioned McIntyre, Connors. I agree there. Sepp Straka. And then come down like some of these guys in the 6K that you mentioned. We'll get some interest. But there's a lot of guys in the 6K that you could conceivably play here with, basically, what is it, 90 some guys in the field, 15 of them you can cross off. So we're looking at like 80, top 50 in ties. So it's easy to play a lot of 6K guys, got a little bit more leeway in terms of in terms of them making a cut. But the one thing is, it's like, this is like 6 of 6 is not going to be good enough this week. You need a strong 6 of 6. Like if you're, 5th and 6th guy are 30th and 40th, that's not going to be enough to win anything this week. Maybe some high stakes stuff, but with the smaller field and the ease of playing some of these top end guys, you're going to need a 6 of 6. I call it like a 6 of 6 plus. You need the 6 of 6 plus good finishes to go along with it. So it's one thing to keep in mind when building teams this week.
6 of 6 plus. We're creating new DFS terms on this show. That's, again, we really just focus on DFS. You want to know about the trees that cut down and how that's going to affect the scoring. That's great. But in the reality of it, those are just going to be the results at the winning lineup at the end. We're focused on what we're going up against, what others are going to be doing, how we can leverage that, the game theory against it. I think that's kind of the interesting part is some people will just naturally say, well, don't play Patrick Reed and Sergio Garcia chalk because live guys, and they got history here, but and good weeks last week in Miami, but who says they'll even show up here? And if they're going to be popular, there's so many other guys. Well, actually, the 7K range is 20 guys less than it usually is. Plus, it's usually 45 guys. Now it's down to 20. So there is thought process there. But if most people are going one of Scotty, Rory, then Reed and Sergio, then there's ways to flip it. It's not who you play, it's how you play them. If you're going to go with that chalk down there and you like it, it's just probably you don't want to get into the corner of playing too many of them together. But if you're going up top to Ludwig and Justin Thomas with Sergio and Reed come through, but the other guys don't, and you got two guys that do in Ludwig and JT when most are on one of Scotty or Rory, that's how you can just play it a little bit different. I also think the reason I brought that up too, Hoop, is the Discord. I know it's every Discord, but I use ours specifically. It's the best Discord out there. I love it. But I do still think a week like this goes twofold. One, people want to play a lot of volume because there's a lot of great contests. They can't scale back. The contests are phenomenal. It is a major. One thing I'll say on that quickly is remember, you winning DFS at the Masters is not the equivalent of winning a green jacket and playing at the Masters as a player. You get a lot of, if you win 200K next week or last week, it's still amazing. It's like winning a major. So you don't have to win your big win at the Masters. That would just be cooler and add on top. But there is no extra special item to that unless you win a Millie Maker, which we all know what the odds of those are. Are we still going to play them? Yes. But the other thing is the chalk. Everyone's chalk to everybody. That's why I wanted to run that list down first. Oh, he's going to be chalk, and you're going to fade them all, play them all. What are you going to do if everybody's chalk? So
that's the most overused term in like PGA DFS. Everyone says, "Oh, this guy's chalk, that guy's like." What is chalk? Like, what do you constitute as chalk? Anyone over 10%? Then this week it's going to be 60% of the field because a lot of these guys are going to be around 10. There's only a limited number of options. Like the term chalk it's so relative to what you're actually doing. Like it doesn't matter if you think Rory McIlroy's chalk this week and he comes in and you think he's 30%. If you play him 60% because you think he's the guy, that doesn't the 30% number doesn't matter anymore. Like you're way overweight. So it's all relative to what you do with your lineups. Everyone wants to just throw that term around like this guy's chalk, that guy's chalk. Not everyone can be chalk. It's relative to the slate. It's relative to what you do with your lineups.
Yeah, and that's like Ross said, and you mentioned earlier, there's a quarter of the field that's out before we even start here, right? That's kind of the setup. So you're only working within so many options anyway, but you do have to think about that when you're out there building. Like I said, there's tons of ways to get different. We'll get into that more as we go throughout. Before we get into it, Hoop, I don't know if you got the screen up there. Do want to talk really quickly about our partnership that we just aligned with Splash Sports. I know a lot of Masters pools going around, and while you're bringing it up, maybe I'll just say this. We'll do a segment at the end on it just so people can see it, but it's a much bigger picture. If anyone who knows us, we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary in May. We're very close, about a month away. We don't do very many partnerships. We don't align with too many places. This is a much bigger picture than a Masters contest, right? We've talked to their team over there. We're planning a lot of bigger things in the future, and we've been asked a ton in the past about things like, the setup for March Madness pools, or for one and dones, or for NFL Survivor, or for different style of games. I wish I could have a snake draft or tiers or something like that. And that's one thing about this Masters contest is it is a tiers contest that you can set up. Oh, I don't like late withdrawals or when people, suck on me. Okay. Well, you can, if somebody sucks for you, I should say, is probably better.
I don't mind that version when someone's sucking on me. Yeah, that seems all right.
That is correct. Yeah, actually, that side of it, but it could have been a bad way there, but no pause. The other side of it would be this is a pick 8 tiers and only 7 count, your best 7 scores. So that's another thing that people look for. Easy scoring. How many people complain about, oh, the eagle got me, or the bonus, or the all 4 under 70 at the last minute, all this stuff, really easy scoring. So aligning with these guys took a little bit of time. I know TJ over there, begged me for a while saying, we got to get you on a call, trying to make this work. And he's an awesome dude. And in the end, he made something happen for us. And the team over there is great. So we will do a breakdown of it at the end. But the long and the short of it is for this week, $50 buy-in, fully guaranteed, $25K. So if it doesn't sell out, it's still going to be the prize pool. It's a very balanced structure, ton of different options. You could play up to 16 lineups. This will help grow it for the future, where we can do other contests and things that we have planned. All that's being worked on as we speak. But just to note it for this one, we'll pull it up at the end and go through one with you guys so you can see what it's all about. So, people talking about it already, lots of different stuff. So I think this is kind of the setup here. This is something that we're going to be doing a lot of in the future. Hoop, do you have anything else that you want to add?
Yeah, so I think you nailed it at the beginning. Like for this week, it's obviously all about the Masters and this contest and, making it a community type thing. We have a lot of ideas around this, but this is just step one. This is the rollout of something much, much bigger. I mean, you guys have listened to our shows, our podcasts. When you compare it to other places in the industry, they're trying to sell you on everything. They'll sell you on the ball raisers. They'll sell you on, wine or whatever the hell is up for, for them to offer out and them get a kickback. We take this stuff. We don't take it very lightly. We pick and choose who we want to who we want to partner with. And this one with Splash Sports made a ton of sense, and excited to get this launched this week. But it's definitely step one of a much bigger partnership, I'll say.
Yeah, we'll go through it at the end there. Do you have Sabre ready to go, or do you want to just give it?
Yeah,
if you want to pull that one up
right now.
Back to what you had.
Yeah.
Also, there's going to be a cool new feature in StreamYard soon where we can flip this around and make it happen with one click. But I definitely think it's one of those things here. Just 1 second. Yeah, if you pull it up there.
All right.
Yeah, one thing while you're doing that, Ryan is here, and I know EVR is not in there. He had I think it was okay last week, if I recall correctly. Shout out to Ryan. But just real quick, this is kind of what we talked about. What you mentioned there, Hoop, is if you watched us from the start when we had 2 sports and no optimizer, like we worked on getting the partnership early on and how we grooved from there to get different sports and different contributors. And it's always slow and steady, but there's always a plan. And if you compare it, like I said, it's interesting because we're coming up on our 2 years, but just getting the Sabre deal, starting to lock in these things, more and more brands coming over, recognizing that we do have a great community and ways that we can do different things. They're willing to say, hey, what are your ideas? What do you have planned next? How can we be a part of it? That was really where it started with Splash. And that's going to be the fun moving forward. When we do something, we don't take it lightly. We want to do it the right way. And we want to make sure it can benefit everybody. So if you do use code SHIPIT, there's a bonus. If you get in that contest, there's a bonus. And then if you're a member and you get into the contest, a SHIPIT Nation member, we did already post, there's extra prizes that we posted in the announcements channel in our Discord regarding that. Go ahead.
Yeah, excited to get it launched. And like you said, it's much bigger than it looks right now. I mean, obviously we have a contest up there. We're going to talk about it. We're going to do content around it. We're going to go through it at the end, but it's definitely a bigger picture item for us. And we're definitely very excited for it.
All right, let's get into this. Let's break it down as far as this, dry run, if you will, goes, and maybe see what we're getting from a lineup construction setup. And then obviously we'll go through it further and try and pick and choose our spots, see where there's some exposure breakdowns of like if a lot of people aren't playing someone, even though they look good on paper, see what that looks like from the contest sims perspective. We got more on that as well. Something new this week for everybody. But what is Caddy saying here?
Yeah, just to clarify what I meant, 6 of 6 plus. Like you clearly need 6 of 6 this week, but in a normal week where there's 140 golfers or somewhere in that range, a lot of times just having a 6 of 6 is good enough to get a solid cash. This week, you're going to need the 6 of 6, but you need them to do something too. It can't be a 6 of 6 with some low end finishes. Almost all your guys, assuming you're in large field stuff, you're going to need them to probably finish top 25-ish or something, most likely. So it's not a week where you're just shooting for a 6 of 6. You're shooting for a 6 of 6, but then you need those good finishes to go along with it because it's a smaller field. And there's a lot of ways to get exposure to the guys with the biggest win equity, I guess I would say.
I don't have the numbers, and I could be way wrong on this, but I definitely have played PGA DFS for a very long time, and I will say it feels like the Masters has to be one of the tournaments where you get the closest to the optimal score.
Yeah.
Like, from a delta, you could still be tons of points off, but I'm saying it definitely feels like the tournament where it's the closest average to the optimal, if you will, versus some of these other tournaments. You could see like, okay, a $44,000 lineup won, and it was 120 points away from what the winner of the flagship actually hit or something. I feel like the Masters is where that tightens up and gets a lot closer, because it's what you said. It's more of a 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, and then somebody else in the top 20 or somebody that scores super well. That is similar to each week, but on the low 6 to 6 weeks, obviously you can get away with a lot more. You can get away with a lot less here for the week at the Masters.
Yep, I fully agree with you. I mean, this, again, it does seem like this is the week where you got to be very, not necessarily precise, but you got to have a lot of the high-end finishers, because the winning lineups are going to be very close, more so close to the optimal than other weeks.
Before we look at these lineups, can you do me a favor? One of the cool features of SaberSim, if you just pull the exposures that it gave us, so like it shows 28%, Scotty, pull that over right by the salary. This is one thing I like to do when doing a dry run, so try and help people out here just to get a way that we might look at it when we're doing our own stuff. If you pull it over and get it next to the salary, you might have to move the bottom bar, move it first, move the bottom bar, and then move it over. It allows us to go through the tiers and gives us an idea of who people might be missing out on when they just do a dry run and run it. And then we can look at the roster construction after. But this is where the reason this is interesting, Hoop, is because this helps me, and I think it should help others, when they sit there and say, oh, everyone's going to be chalk. They're basically saying everyone's going to be chalk. It's like, no, they aren't. And watch what happens when you actually build lineups. Scotty and Rory still getting love. Morikawa and Rahm. Look at us getting no Ludwig. So people are going to have to bump him into their pool to get him, which will he end up at 0? Absolutely not, because people will change this. But what we're saying is it allows you to see that if you got love for that spot. Now, Xander getting very low ownership here is interesting. It looks like the projections early are leaning towards Justin Thomas. I wonder if that sticks, though, because...
Well, yeah, so we're using Sabres projections right now. So they do have, I'd say, a lower projection on Xander compared to, I'm assuming, where we will be at and where the industry will be at. So they have him at like 58, Justin Thomas 60, Bryson 61. So that's why we're getting basically no Xander. But again, it's because of the low projection number.
People love Bryson too, by the way. Like, it's always
always.
Bryson and Cantlay are two here that I could see. I know different ranges, but Bryson's a guy that's going to get the love no matter what. I do see sort of projections and odds and things like that popping. Obviously, the U.S. Open win last year, running through the crowd with it, and he's the big fan favorite, a 6th year last year. So, people are starting to think he kind of figured it out, but it is interesting.
Yeah. I think a lot of the live guys will get a bump in ownership just because you don't get to play them on a typical week-to-week basis. So they're going to be excited to click the name. So I think there's something in there for sure. I don't know if it's 2 percentage points, 3 percentage points, but I think all those guys get a little bit more than anticipated.
All things surfing. Yeah. Playing in the higher stakes. That's a great tournament this week. Yeah. If you got any tickets for it, I'll be the structure sucks. We get it. It sucks. It's better than most for the mega. I can tell you that much. And it's a really good tournament. It's actually going to sell out. The demand should tell you how good it is. It might sell out by tonight. I think I saw 850 of 1,200 or something in there already. And I know the tickets boost towards that, but people are very interested in this tournament. But it's a tough scene at the Masters. Like you said earlier, Hoop, if the chalk is getting there, it gets very tricky. Even with the 6-6, you need to see it. Mateo, this is very clear too. We've been open on this since day one. Our SHIPIT Nation initials come out on Tuesdays, so they should be out within an hour or two. Sometimes they come out when we're live on the show. We're using SaberSim. If you have the starter package and you're a do-gooder or a go-getter and you want to get after it earlier, you can do it with those. But our stuff will be up shortly, and you'll be able to do all the same stuff. It's always announced in Discord as well. And yeah, this is the same, Kenny. It's just like the mega for the ultimate for football, but who cares? I wish they would run that stuff year round. Rake us in the satellites where we know what it is, and then just let us have these big contests where there's lots of different angles that you can get in. I know a ton of people get after. We had, I think like 17 plus. Now, mind you, Shaloub had like 13 of them himself, but there was 17 or 19 plus 33 tickets on Sunday alone or something just in our Discord after that. So that tournament's going to be full of SHIPIT Nation members and logos. We're excited for that. Still more on that to come, but just to note there, what else do you see here, Hoops? So Xander's down. Hideki is down.
Yeah, I think that holds. Yeah, I think the Hideki has to get squeezed a little bit here. Again, similar to Ludwig, back-to-back, I think missed cuts. People are always worried about the injury stuff with Hideki, so I think he's a name that comes in low. I think Brooks, 14. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he actually comes in at. People are going to be excited to click the name. It's been a while. Maybe the same with Neiman, but yeah, Hovland's getting done. I mean, what was it, like 3 missed cuts in a row, and then he wins. Tommy Fleetwood, people always play Tommy. But then like Jordan Spieth, what do people do with Spieth? I just think this is the range that is super interesting. Like Hideki, Brooks, Neiman, Hovland, Fleetwood, Spieth. We know Lowry's going to get some, but then Cantlay, Hatton, Minwoo, Henley. Like, I just think all this range, I don't know if the winner's coming from here, but it just seems like you got to get this area right. Because if you play these guys heavy, you're sacrificing exposure to these dudes up top, right? If you go heavy on some of these 9K, mid 9K to mid 8K guys. So if they don't pay off, then you're kind of screwed. But it's like also an area where I think a lot of guys could go overlooked. Like Hideki probably goes overlooked. Hovland coming off the win probably goes a little overlooked. I think Spieth could as well. Are people going to want to click Spieth? Like the narrative around Spieth is always, oh, he's done great at the Masters. You just play him here. He knows Augusta, but he's played like shit the last couple of years here. So I don't know if people are like sick of playing him. It's just a very interesting range. What's happening Justin Thomas and above. Like, all these guys are getting some degree of ownership except Ludwig, right? They're all gonna when it's all said and done. But like Hideki down to, I don't know, even like Cam Smith, like this area right here that's on the screen is
too, by the way, because we know McIntyre is the guy that people like and Corey Connors. So it's Akshay up to Decky. I think you nailed it there. And the other thing that's interesting about that, and while there's a couple in there that will probably pop when projections change, so we know Henley, Lowry, maybe some of these Fleetwood gets a little love, but the Spieth thing, he finished 12th last week. He's usually been good here, but it's off and on, right? His pattern actually says it's a good year. He went 3rd, miscut, 4th, miscut. So he should be 5th this year if you're doing any patterns out there. So maybe that's what it is. But it seems like Decky, Spieth, guys that actually have played well here and have green jackets, like, nah, let me play Tommy with the guy that never wins instead. And we keep shitting on him because he's not breaking the outlier. He is the outlier. He's not breaking the trend. I always say you can't spell trend without end. It's not happening. Is Tommy putting on a green jacket? Maybe. 3rd here last year. He's had a 14, 33. He's been playing good. Not a great result last week, but before that, wonderful. But I'm just saying the thought process around ownership when there's other guys in that range. And I think it's somewhat interesting too that I keep hearing this. Well, Scotty and Rory soak up all the win equity. They do. First of all, Rory has never won here. So that's just, it's win equity based on his current play and everything else and how good he is. We get it. But I'm just saying, if he didn't win, it's Scotty, and Scotty's obviously scary no matter when you fade Scotty. But if you're not scared of him right now, when you're not going with that win equity on paper, I think what you said is you don't know if the winner's coming from here, but it very well could. If it's not those guys at the top, it probably is if it's not those guys at the top. And you could load up here. You could go Xander, Decky with, Spieth, for example, and then still get different down low and not just play into the same chalk that everyone's on down low and have yourself a completely unique lineup that has a chance at 6-6, but also 6-6 with that upside. And it might end up being that it's JT fading Scotty down the stretch is what you need. But that's always going to be the case if you're fading a Scotty. So I at least think that's somewhat interesting from just a first look perspective, is like 3 9K guys and then, or multiple 8s as opposed to that. But I think if people do go to multiple 8s, and we'll see in the rosters you got there, you can already see it. It's like Henley, Bobby Mack, for example.
Yeah, it is interesting when you start looking at some of these teams, because like the first team here popping up, and this is sort of by Sabre score, big GPPs, 50K plus, because a lot of people are going to want to be in that $10 milli. So kind of focus on that when going through it. But it's like, all right, you get a Morikawa team. I'd say this is like somewhat of a balanced build. Morikawa, 9K, couple 8s, 7, 6, not taking huge risks in this lineup. Then you go to like a Rory, John Rahm, 3 7Ks, 6K, nothing 10K and above, start with Bryson, JT, and this is definitely like a balance type build. And then you're seeing a Scotty, John Rahm, and then a bunch of cheap dudes. So like getting a lot of different types of builds. Like we've had weeks where we come on here, I think it was a few weeks ago with Scotty and Rory, and there we saw a lot of, Scotty, Rory together. You're seeing a lot of different builds right out of the gate here, and you go down, you're probably going to see more of it. You got a Scotty JT
right there. Go back, Morikawa,
yeah,
up with 3 8Ks, Hatton, Minwoo, Henley. And while you're playing the chalk with Henley and Morikawa, quote unquote, the chalk, who knows how it actually shakes out. But my point is, once you add in 2 more 8K guys in Hatton and Minwoo, and then low end Thompson, not a Sergio or Reed or any of those guys, with an Aaron Rai, you're completely different already. I think there was one more. If you go to lineup number 4 for a second, I just want to show something off here as well. This is another thing I would look for. Like obviously Scotty, Rahm could easily be up there. One guy was putting the green jacket on the other guy just a couple years ago or a few years ago. But just to note it, it's people are like, oh, Sergio is the worst chalk, and Scotty's going to be chalk. But here's the thing. Sergio is going to be the 5th or 6th guy in most lineups. When you make him the 3rd, it's not who you play, it's how you play him. That's how you get different with it. And yeah, you need a lot to happen, but this is still rating out pretty well. Now, one thing I would say, Hoop, here is, do you ever go, so if you go to the top and instead of going by Sabre score, I think this is something that we should show them and just trying to compare, and go to projected score and sort it by that. And let's get our top 150 there. Now go over to our exposures and see if there's any changes. Like Rory, 54. Xander still stays low. It's still taking a lot of the same due to projection, but I'm just saying, look at the boost on somebody like Rory, for example.
Yeah, Rory gets a big boost. JT gets a big boost. Rahm gets a boost from what we just had. I like
to look at it because a lot of people want their best projected lineup, forgetting that it's not NBA we're talking about here. And you start to see, okay, JT super boost versus before. Is there anybody down low, just going back to it, that is it doing like the Sergio thing, or what's
Corey Connors, 40% Corey Connors.
What else?
Patrick Reed. Oh, Sergio, 74%. Keegan, 19. So it's just the guys that are projected better than everyone in their range. You look at Brian Harmon.
Yeah.
So you're going to just get the guys that have the better projection. This probably gets like 0 Xander. Only 2 Xander lineups just because he's lower in this range. Different ways to go about doing it for sure. But these are going to be more, based on assuming the projections are in line with the industry. These are going to be the quote unquote chalkier type builds, right?
Agreed. Yeah. Is there a different way that you would look at it for like something like a single entry? I know a lot of people this week are playing the $200 single entry, for example. And I know it's not everybody's budget. You can extrapolate up or down. The 33 single entry, phenomenal. The $12 single entry, bigger than usual, still a great balanced structure. But the $200 is just like a middle ground. Some people have it different. And I always say this too, single entry is different than one lineup. If you have one lineup in the mega and others have it maxed out from winning tickets, or they're willing to put that bankroll up, yes, it's tricky. It's different. Yeah. Talk about that after. But if you're like the $200 single entry this week, what type of situation are you looking for in using this and to build to your advantage?
So that question pops up a ton. Like people ask it on here, people ask it in DMs. And I think the clear best way to go about building a single entry team is make sure you're putting some input into it. Like if you are playing this week, there's at least 2 guys that you want to play for sure, right? For sure there's 2 guys you want to play. So if this week the 2 guys you want to play are Rory and who's another popular dude? Rory and Corey Connors. Let's say you want to play Rory and Corey Connors. Those are your guys this week. Well, then you need at least a couple lower owned guys to go along with those 2, right? If you want to play Rory, Corey Connors, and Shane Lowry's probably going to be pretty owned too. Like then you definitely need to start looking at lower owned options. Now, if the guys you want to play this week are Ludwig and let's say who's another low owned, Ludwig and Victor Hovland, then you have a lot of flexibility. You can do whatever you want probably with the rest of your lineup because that combination is going to be very low owned. But the way to bring it all together into an optimizer for sure for me would be you just hit the lock button on these guys. Like I want Scotty, I want whoever it is, Scotty, Fleetwood, and then Sam Burns. Let me see some of these builds rerun it, and you're going to get all lineups with those guys. And you can start looking at different builds, different roster constructions, that sort of thing. So step one is figuring out the guys that you definitely want to play. And I wouldn't waver from that, to be honest with you. A lot of people are like, well, this guy is going to be too popular, blah, blah. Play the guys you want to play this week. Like, play them for sure. But then with the rest of your lineup, be cautious what you do. If the guys you want to play this week are popular, make sure you're looking at some lower owned guys to mix in. If the guys you definitely want to play this week are lower owned, then you're kind of free to do whatever the hell you want with the rest of your spots. So that's how I do it for single entry. It's a good question a lot of people ask.
Yeah, I just have a follow-up, and that's why this deal can't be beat, because this is my big thing about SaberSim. So you could get in for $24 for the full month. We talked about it a bunch. Don't need to hammer it home, but just to note it here when I go back to the setup, if you in SaberSim, this is the value of it. And I was talking about virtual hand building. Even if I was doing single entry, like Hoop said, you want to have your hand on the wheel. You want to have some input. You can lock the guys you want regardless of ownership, 2 or 3 guys, and then sort by Saber score for the style of tournament you're in, and be able to see exactly like what, okay, if I'm already on those guys, what are some of the good versions? And then you'll have thoughts in your head. You'll see either a structure where you're like, oh, that skips the 7K range. That's interesting, assuming you're not on a 7K guy or whatever it might be. But you can really use it to your advantage in that manner. And I think not enough people do that. And here's Andrew says, this exercise is what I do for single entry, hence why even if only playing single, an optimizer is still needed. So I love that. Shout out to our boy, GS Luke, always grinding, doing that work. He's got everything covered. And shout out to Ross, because Ross is me. I think a lot of people see Luke and think like Star Wars, Darth Vader, Luke, I am your father. I think of Cooch and Luke. I think everybody should do this every time they're watching Luke's show, and just drop it in the chat, because that's exactly what I say every time I see him pop in my head. So definitely think that's good. Nade's mentioned it here. Saber automatically accounts for the contest and ownerships, gives you some built-in leverage. Even if you don't have the contest sims, you can use Saber score to your advantage for this and be able to find.
That's what I just did real quick. I said, okay, I want Scotty, I want McIntyre, and Connors. Those are my 3 I'm playing no matter what. Give me some builds that make sense. I'm in a smaller GPP, only between 100 and 1,000 people. Sort it by Saber score. Let me see what I get. So you get something here with where it's Patrick Reed, Berger, Sergio. That's still probably on the high owned end. That's like a little bit too much. Start scrolling down. So this one might be all right. Sepp Straka, Patrick Reed. So it's really liking Patrick Reed in this combination because of the solid projection on him. But it's just
Hoop, go back up for a sec. The 101 right there with Denny. Like, you get like Bhatia is a difference maker. McCarthy is a difference maker. But even still, if you don't like this, you could just change it up a field level. Like, again, if everyone's going to play it like this in the smaller field, you could just change your field size and be able to still find a version of this that you like. Just go up one at a time. Even you could check it that way. But obviously, you could do different things within it to be able to change it up even further. We do have some more news on that for our ultimate users coming up here in a little bit. But just to note, that there's still the ability, even in the core or starter package, to do quite a bit where you can find versions of the lineup that you like and be able to put it together. But to Hoop's point, that's where you can put some of your stuff and spin it up with some stuff that makes sense for the actual tournaments that you're playing with. So yeah, there is. This is a good time, actually, Hoop. I don't know if I can share my screen still.
See if you can.
No matter what, anyway. So
there you go.
Yeah. So Michael, this is a good question. There's always the deal. So if you want to try out the ultimate package, you do get the first month at $297, which is the same price Saber charges for just ultimate. So you're getting all SHIPIT Nation, the $79 a month all access content package in at the first month at no charge. And then it goes to $321 a month, which is just a little bit more, $24 more a month than they charge naturally. So you're paying less than $1 a day for all the content. That is the best deal. You also can upgrade at any time and you get your prorated credit. So you don't have to start over or add a new plan or whatever that might be. But we did just add this because big time popular demand and because of something else I'm going to announce in a second. But there is now a weekly Sims package. A lot of people didn't want to pay $300 to try it out. They said, if I could just try it out for like $100 or $150 and get a week or two and check it out, this is the option that we can do. We obviously have a partnership with SaberSim, so it's all sort of controlled under one screen of saying what we can and can't do, but this was what they were comfortable with. This is what we're comfortable with. You can try out a week of the ultimate, now would be a good week. You'd get the Masters. If you add it tomorrow, tonight, whatever, you get the Masters, UFC,
very good week.
MLB, NBA, NASCAR. You're going to get all the golf for next week too. You'd be able to get everything under just a week to try it out. And then obviously if you convert it, you can then go to the $297 a month for the first month, $321 after that. But that is just a note there for sure if you want to check that out. Also, we had this in from day one on the ultimate line. If you see the very bottom one, the monthly training Q&A. When we brought our guy Rio, Hebrew Cheetah, shout out to Rio, on as a partner, we were creating something new. We wanted to have something where he could help out, like we mentioned, with the SaberSim side. Starting at the end of this month, I'm not sure of an exact date yet, but we will be having a monthly roundtable Q&A session. And the first one is going to be Hoop, myself, and Rio hopping on with SHIPIT Nation Ultimate members, where you'll be able to hop on to a members-only behind the scenes contest sims and any other Q&A related to the ultimate package, where we're going to be able to go through and break it down even further for you. Anybody, as long as you're a weekly or monthly member, will be able to get the link for that. And if you aren't able to make it live, you will be able to watch it back. So just a note on that. It'll be live for that. So just wanted to let you know that, but you can definitely upgrade to that. Somebody else said is if you can afford it, definitely the way to go. There's way more to it than people think, and it's not just clicking a button. We've talked about this a bunch of times, but we'll have more on that in the future. Like I said, just want to let you guys know that stuff. Anything else there, Hoop, that I missed or you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're looking to try it out for a week, like this probably is arguably the best week of the year. I mean, you got the Masters, you got a UFC pay-per-view, MLB's going right now, NBA's going, NASCAR's going, Masters Showdown. I mean, the Showdown contests are going to be massive. So this is the probably the best week to give it a whirl for sure.
Yeah, agreed. All right, you can bring back a Saber and anything else you want to go to there. I did want to talk another strategy piece with you just around the single entry versus one lineup, and mainly because obviously we talk a lot, we focus on DFS. With that, I've talked a ton about the secrets of satellites and all these members winning these tickets to these bigger buy-in tournaments. What do you do differently when it comes to one entry in a tournament or less entries where you're just comfortable and say, you know what, I'm going to roll it anyway because I want a ticket to it. You're obviously going to play it, but it could be life-changing money. But you have to know that, you know, people have 20-plus lineups in these tournaments to your one. How do you look at it a little bit differently? Is there anything that you do when it comes to one lineup versus single entry?
One lineup in something where people can build up, 150 or 20, whatever it is. So if you're disadvantaged in terms of the number of entries you have versus the field. So like if you're in a single entry, everyone can only build one. But if you're in a contest where you win, like for example, the 3K Millie Maker, and what can people play up to 40, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it is this week. I thought it was 37, but even still, it's a big number versus your one. And then it's extrapolated across how many pros are having all those tickets or MMA.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, if they're playing in this contest and it's above their typical stakes, they're like a little more cautious with how they build their team, and they might be like content with just like a min cash, so they don't build their teams like optimally. In that sort of format, the Millie Maker with the 3K Millie Maker where people can make 40, you do have to be aggressive. But again, that doesn't mean fade the guys that you want to play. Play the guys you want to play, but you probably need to be a little more aggressive with those other spots. Like if you're starting with a popular combo, if you're starting with say Scotty and Corey Connors, because that's probably a pretty popular starting combination. Like if you're starting with those two, then you need to look at what you're doing with the rest of your lineup. And you probably don't want to throw in a third very popular guy. Like the next guy that's probably going to be very popular, I don't know, Sergio. Sergio has a lot of ownership up here on Saber. So you probably wouldn't want to start with like Scotty, Corey, and Sergio. So I think you really want to cap your very popular plays at 2 and not 3 in that sort of format. So you just got to be a little more cautious, I think, with what you do with the rest of your lineup. I'd still advise you to play the guys you want to play. Don't make like massive shifts. Don't say, oh, well, I like Rory this week, but I'll just play Ludwig instead because less people are going to be on it. If you really like Rory this week, play Rory this week.
Yeah. There's other ways you can get different, to your point, and I'll elaborate on it. All-Star DFS says, do you get the default SaberSim stuff with the 99 we talked about a little bit earlier, but we also have this graphic. It's right on the site, shipitnation.com/join. but you can see it. The $99 a month plan that you get for $24 right now for your first month with code DGen75 does not include the SaberSim defaults. But if you decide after your first month that I really like this, and instead of 99, I'd like to add on the SaberSim to have an additional set and be able to build even more lineups, be able to use contest flashback, the best value by far is $129. They charge $97 on their site, so it's just over $1 a day to get all of SHIPIT Nation's coverage, which is usually $79 a month, that you can add in and then get 2 sets of projections, and you can sway those as well, meaning if you want to run it for a mix, a blend, aggregate them, whatever you want to call it or do it, you can do that as well. So we have you covered on that. But right now, a lot of people are just taking the $24 a month with DGen75 code and being able to try everything out first, get used to it. And if you're already a member elsewhere and you want to sort of cancel your membership and come over, we welcome you. It's that's business, but it's meant to save you money. We wanted to make it from day one where you could get more money for your contests and less for your content. We've stuck to that, and then upgraded the features and abilities and extras within the whole way. So for $24 for your first month, see what it's all about, including the Discord, the education courses, all of that. And then once you're good with that, then make a plan on what your future looks like. But the deals here are much better than the entire industry, and you can go compare that. I don't need to spend all day on it, but even at natural pricing, we're way better. Nobody's giving you the opportunity to try their stuff for $24 for a month, let alone I think it's $28 a week at most places for one sport. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of just goes to our business motto. I mean, we've always said we want to have the most affordable price tag in the industry, and when you build the team that we've built and the business structure we have, we're able to offer these ridiculously cheap deals along the way, and give people a chance. Honestly, give people a chance. And a lot of people, again, that are in here watching these shows can't necessarily afford to pay for content every month, and that's fine. But hey, give it a whirl for a week. If you get a nice little hit, like, you might find some momentum and able to build on it, and turn this hobby into an additional revenue stream, essentially.
Yeah. Going back to that question you had, I'll just give my elaboration on it, and then we could do a quick tier by tier, any that stand out that we are not the guys that now we've proven and looked at as are going to be popular, and then we'll do the splash segment at the end. Obviously, a little bit of a bit bigger show for the Masters, but having some fun with it. If you guys have questions, keep throwing them into the chat. But I'll just say, when it's one entry like that, I think one of the biggest things is people sway and go away completely from what it took to win the ticket. I know it's quite different, and obviously the field size can be smaller, but the winner take all typically aspect of it should also lead towards how you got there. You didn't just play all the chalk typically and win a satellite. Somebody else played it. A bunch of others did it. Whatever it took to win the ticket, you weren't scared to play a different style to win the ticket. You played to win first and winner take all, because you were worried that, if you play too chalky or if you play too much off the board, it's going to be this. You're trying to go right up the middle and steal that ticket from everybody else. What happens is that's for $56 or for $100 or whatever it is. And now you're in a 33 mega, and you see all the big names have 40 entries, and you start to say, holy, I don't even know what to do here. You change it up. There's nothing that's really required, because everything you were doing to go up the middle and steal that ticket from the same pros, by the way, with 1 or 2 entries, maybe 3 in some of these satellites, it's all extrapolated, but they got you covered. Whatever your safe build, or I better tighten up because as long as I cash this, it's a huge bankroll boost, whatever, play to win, just like how you won the ticket. And it's always what I talk about all the time. If you aim for perfection, and nobody's perfect, but if you aim for perfection and come up short, it's excellent. Don't aim for the min cash to start off. Aim to win the damn thing. And if you come up short and win 7K or 10K or whatever, it's a huge bankroll boost, and you got a story to tell. I'm sure there's 10 things that happen to you that cost you the milli, and we'll talk about that, and you get to vent it out. But nobody cares work harder, but you get to go back to working harder with a much bigger bankroll. So don't freeze up. Don't play it and sway from what you've used. Don't try and get mega mined on this thing just because the word mega is in the tournament. Play it to win it. And if you come up short and get a cash, great. It's still a good week. So think of it from that perspective. Hopefully that's helpful. Obviously, the more you have, shout out to our boy Shaloub. If you got all the tickets, take it down, baby. Ship that thing. If it's not me, I hope it's you. But I will say, a lot of people will freeze up hoop, and I think that you can apply that to any tournament that you're in, but specifically when people win a seat to the big dance.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're not ready to dance. They want to sit on the sidelines. It's not going to work.
Yeah, their cheeks tighten up a little bit. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you can use the analogy anywhere, be the same as in like the poker world. If you get in a, we win a satellite to get in a poker tournament and you find your way to the final table and you're so nervous and you change your style of play and you get dusted right away. Like you can apply it to a lot of different aspects of life, but like don't change your style of play. Don't get away from guys that you want to play as well. Would be my two pieces of advice.
Yeah, all the time. That's like one of the number one things in the Discord after somebody blows the ticket. And trust me, I'm telling you, because I've been there a million times. I've blown a lot in tickets over my time playing, and I try and teach it back and help people learn from it. But one of the number one things people say is, oh, damn it, I was going to play this guy. I saw he was coming in at 20%, so I moved off. I'm like, who'd you move to? Oh, I moved to this guy. Oh, the guy that's 17% right below him. Like you moved off for 3 points, and you didn't even know. So got to lay that thing on the table. Kenny says, don't be shy, buddy. Don't be shy. I'm not going to go there. We'll leave that. But, been there a million times. Nate says it. Vitality, like D-Gen said, get slimy with your lineups. Yeah, you got to – go ahead.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Everything you said. But on a side note, I wanted to give our guy Nades a shout-out, man. Doing a phenomenal job in the MLB streets. Been crushing to start the season. Putting extra content into the Discord for our community. He's doing a hell of a job over there with the MLB side of things, and happy to have him on our team.
Kenny did it for me because he knows the joke in Discord. He always makes fun of himself, and then he said, "Look, it's a small table, Tambo. Okay, a lot of money right now. You got to spread the money out of the way at least to make a small spot for yourself because back-to-back 100K weeks for our guy Kenny. So congrats to him and keeps crushing it. What I love about Kenny though is he's honest. He's another trust the process guy, and he explains it like it is. Sometimes you lose a lot of money before you win. And so you got to ride these heaters. You got to take this for what it's worth, have fun with it, and play the game. So I definitely love that. Ryan says Nades has literally won me 1.5 on MLB. Put that into the Masters. Yeah, put it all back on the table. Like Kenny said, lay it all out. This is the week to do it. Real quick, Hoop, the last sort of 8 minutes of the first hour. Do you just want to go through? I mean, tier one is pretty obvious. It's Ludwig, right? Ludwig is sort of your spot that you can get different. We like him. He was in the mix last year. Once he got healthy this year, now obviously a couple bad results the last couple out, but just to note, last week was painful, by the way, really hurt some feelings, but maybe he's a mega minder of his own, and maybe that was on purpose to get out to the Masters and get just a little more practice in before, who knows, but obviously nobody's going to Ludwig. We don't need to spend time there, but you mentioned some of the guys in the 9K. If there was two that stood out, who would they be most?
Stood out in terms of who I think's low owned or in terms of who I
overlooked for the range that might be better than they are, even if it is like a Hideki gets to 10%. That's still a lot less than somebody else in there that might be 20 or 20.
I think he's definitely the number one in this range. Just has to get squeezed because, like we talked about, JT and above looks super strong. People are going to like the idea of playing Brooks and Neiman. Like he has to get squeezed a little bit. And I think Hovland does too, despite coming off a win. People have seen how bad he's played. The round the green stuff is still a big concern. So definitely those two in that range. In the 8K range, I think kind of the reverse maybe of like Brooks and Neiman, where I don't think many people are going to want to play Hatton. I probably won't play Hatton, but he's a guy that man, like a couple things go wrong and it's over for him. Cam Smith, again, another guy, like, man, think about 3 years ago before all the live stuff. Like he was one of the up and coming guys. Now he's 8,200 here, not playing well. I don't imagine many people get to him. 7K range, much smaller than we typically see. A lot more names here. So there's not like standout, like low owned guys, but like Sam Burns, like has to be a guy people are just done with. Like just a ton of miscuts. He's looked like complete shit. It's a tough click. Same with Dustin Johnson, the guy that, it's very clear. Like he got his live money and said, I don't give a fuck anymore. Like I'm cool. I'm cool with that. And it's been bad for him. So I think like those two for sure. And then like 6K, obviously there's going to be a bunch of guys that go overlooked. So.
Yeah, Johnny Betts. I'm assuming he's going back to your poker analogy. Never forget the first time I sat at 2-5 like at a table. And that's the other one. I love shout out to our guy Sheets. Always does a bunch of good work. Those of you don't know him, MB Habes just crushes it across the industry. He had some good poker analogies. We did it on one of the mastermind one. He said that's another thing. In poker, people are like, oh, they're not respecting my raises here. Let me move up to the next level and sit with all the pros that got their bankrolls from people like me at the lower level. and now let me try them on at the big stakes. Like that's the same in DFS. People, I got a couple wins here under my belt. Let me just jam the 555 or let me buy up into this one this week. It's going to go better because I'll get away with all this. I can fade some of the chalk or I can do this differently. I'll get away with it. It's not how it works. You got to still put your time in. Typically 9 times out of 10, that's how it goes. Back to golf. One interesting one for me was, I guess it's an or he could. We'll see how it actually shakes out. How much Neiman were we getting? Because he's a ludicrous price to some, but others would argue that with all his live success, he's priced right. We're getting some there, but it'll be interesting to see how it actually shakes out because I don't think people are in love with that price. He's still been really good on live. They say, oh, he sucks in majors. It's a complete or he could situation. Yeah. Just at the Masters, the last 2 years, 22nd and 16th. Those won't cut it for 9,300. I get it. But what I'm saying is those are like 1 or 2 strokes away from being positive results. And that's every tournament. It's ifs and buts. I get it. But also, he has been off the PGA Tour for years now. And he still has 2 more wins than Tommy Fleetwood, who's $200 less and sitting right there. So just a prime example. And he's playing good, if not better right now. Again, you can't give credit because people say, oh, live versus PGA. It's fine. Whatever you think. I'm just saying there's an opportunity there, and we'll see if he gets steam or not. But I thought he was interesting. I like your Decky call. I like the Spieth call. You mentioned earlier 2 guys with green jackets that may or may not get ownership there when there's other guys like Lowry and Cantlay below and Fleetwood and up at the top with JTX and Bryson. So like that call for that range. The 8K range, I do think Cantlay will get the steam still. I know Lowry's going to get steamed up. Henley a little bit. So it's kind of like Willie Z would be another guy that's interesting to me. Maybe Akshay. Those 2 guys were 2 that stood out to me in the 8Ks. And then I think you named some of the dudes in the 7s. Our course fit rankings are up as well, by the way. And there's some 7K guys there that are listed also. So just a few different things to talk about there. But, Newens knows it. He always gets the strays because until he comes through. That's what it is. It happens to everybody in every field, right? There's always some. Think about Shooter McGavin. He gets to go in the room. Everyone got the gold jackets, but he don't got it. They're going to joke and tease him until he gets the gold jacket. That's what it comes down to. So Happy Gilmore too, by the way, on the way.
Can't wait.
I'm going to love that shit. It's going to be so bad, but it's going to be awesome. So
that's great. I'm debating letting my, there'll be like 11 and 13, letting them watch the original just because I want them to see the second because it's going to be funny. They're close. I think they're close enough to be able to be in on it. So I think I'm going to let them indulge.
I just got to laugh because we just found out a very heavy difference between Hoop and I's parenting style. My kids are 8 and 4.
Oh,
and
they've already watched.
I don't think the 4-year, my guy won't understand it anyway, but on the Netflix preview, it's on Netflix. It might be going away soon, but on the preview, it's the part at the start of the movie where he tees off the driver, smokes the dude, and then he tees it off again. Like, let's see that again, double or nothing. And he smokes the lady, and she falls out of the house and rolls down the deck. They just die laughing. And I'm saying to my wife, I'm like, Megan, should we let them watch this? And she's like, no. I'm like, but they might not understand some parts. And then I think like there is some pretty aggressive parts there. So probably not going to be letting 8 and 4 watch it, but there's other movies they can watch. That one is an all-time classic though.
Oh, it certainly is. Certainly is.
You'll be the cool dad if you allow them, Hoopster. So Happy Gilmore OG.
I can still remember this. This will be a quick little side story, then we can move on to the next segment. But when my parents let me and my brother watch our first rated R movie, and he was 2 years younger than me, so I think I was probably 6th grade, and he was 4th, so he would have been probably 10. They let us watch this rated R movie, and it was Speed. I don't know if you remember that one. Yeah. So like, my parents didn't know much about it. Like, we really want to watch this, really want to watch it. And like, okay, yeah, we'll get started. Well, I mean, it swears a ton in there. So they're like, all right, like, don't repeat any of this shit. Like, or didn't say shit, obviously. Don't repeat any of this stuff. Just watch the movie, blah, blah. Well, my brother was sitting there with a pencil and paper and writing down every swear word with a tally mark next to each swear word, and no one knew about it. He's like under a blanket or something as the movie is going on, tallying every single swear word along the way. Like, all right, you're done with rated R movies for a little while.
Yeah. Oh, I hear that. That's that was the problem too. My parents were divorced, so my dad would let me. He'd try and be the cool dad. So I was watching movies I shouldn't watch way before. There was only like a couple off limits. He's like, I'm like 5 or 6 years old. He's like, no Scarface. Really? No Scarface? That's a pretty good idea there, Dad. Thanks for coming through on that one. But you can watch Terminator, though. Check it out. Brian asks here, I think this is a personal decision, but I will say, like, my thought process on it over time and back testing and looking at different things and all that, obviously the more lineups you have, the more I would sort of want to, like, the bigger your player pool too, the more I'd want to open it up. If you've got a smaller player pool, you're just trying to get some combinations within it versus the bigger player pool. You're probably wanting to have, enough of each guy. So I think it really depends for me on that. Hoop, did you have any thoughts on this one quick?
Yeah, player pool for sure. Number of guys you're playing, number of lineups you're entering would factor in. I mean, for me personally, I usually just leave it at 1. I don't even mess with it, and it really doesn't come into play for me all that much. But if you are playing like a smaller number of golfers, like it could come into play more. We're getting like a lot of more similar type lineups.
Yeah, we used to have the food segment. At the end, I think you answered Brian's question, so I'm moving it back. We're going to do the 6K range, and then we're going to do the Splash Sports segment at the end and go through a draft. But we had the food segment for a while, and we kind of like wasted that out, or we went through quite a bit of your takes. Movie and TV takes are good too. I'm trying to think, what is a sequel that's better than the first? I think Home Alone 2 is better than the first. That's maybe a hot take, but I don't think it is. I think him in New York was way crazier. It was cool because the first one was at the house, but I think Home Alone 2 is a better sequel. What's a better sequel in the chat, and what's one for you?
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a Tambo segment. The food stuff was more a hoop segment. This will be more of a Tambo segment because I am so bad with like TV shows and movies. Like I don't watch a ton of them, but when I do, I like immediately forget what happens. I don't pay attention, so
I don't
watch
not good shows either. I'm way behind on a lot of TV shows, and I post before people know. I don't watch a lot of shows, movies, or video games. But movies, back in the day, I used to watch a lot. That's why that came to mind.
Yep.
But I love Kenny. Man, he goes Fast and Furious 8. Yeah, I don't even know what number they're on. I just saw that the Survivor TV show is on like season 50.
I do actually watch that. So yeah, it is. It's almost a 50. Huh?
How are you still watching that?
I love it. I think it's a great show. They do a very, very good job with that show, just how it's all orchestrated and making it interesting each new season. So I'm
murders on the side. It's all fake, like they said. It's
yeah, a lot of people say that. I don't know. Like I guess there's some of that. It's like I feel like in the past, those people would lose so much. I think they might be feeding them or something now on the side potentially because these people don't lose the weight like they used to. Remember, like the original early on survivors, these people are like skeletons when it's all said and done. Now they're like not losing the weight like they used to. So I was wondering about that. Maybe some food on the side.
Newens took it so serious, and it was clear. Sorry, he's saying there's like a billion movies. The sequel must be getting. But what about the 6K range then, Hoop? Let's finish this out for the DFS side of things, and I guess more of who do you like down there? Yeah. This last week a prime example. Oh, Joel Damon's going to be 20% owned. He came in at like 3% in the flagship. It's like there's no way there can be enough of these guys, and even when they get put into your lineups. In these in the Good Saber score and all that. Remember, that's just the people that are running those style lineups. The average person or Masters being a heavier casual event is going to be with $1 million up top, $10 buy-in, all the promos from every brand across the industry that you see as a DK partner now. They've got all their $10 free when you sign up. Well, that's going to bring in a lot more casuals, and it's going to get spread out down here. So who are the 6K guys? A couple of them or a few of them that stand out to you early on?
Yeah, I'll probably play more than the field just because what I want to do up top. So I'm good with a lot of these guys. Harmon, obviously coming off the win, I do think his ownership comes up a little bit, but it's like, I don't know, again, the ins and outs, the dynamics of the course, but a lot of times people say lefties have a little bit of an advantage here with the dog legs and whatnot. So even with the increased ownership, I am interested there. Like, Taylor Pendrith, I think at 6,700, I think that's a good price tag. Michael Kim, going to continue to play him. A lot of talk about Phil this week, playing a little bit better. Yeah, and I'm fine with that. My guy Kirky, I'll be in on Kirky. One guy I definitely won't be playing is Max Homa. Like Max Homa is just, it's got to be on the verge of being completely done at this point, just completely dusted. Definitely not clicking that name. I don't think anyone is. Sabres showing 1.5%. So it'll be low, but I'm good with like English, McCarthy, definitely good with Poston, good with Nick Taylor, I'm definitely fine with that. Kevin Yu. I mean, Kevin Yu, I think very solid at 6,300. So I'm going to play a lot of these guys down here. Definitely more than the field.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing as well, is there's definitely options to play 2 or 3 of these guys when there's only 20 guys in the 7s, especially if you're not feeling the Sergio Reed sort of chalk options there, instead of just getting different in the 7K range, which, by the way, too, how much Seb Straka were we getting? That's another guy I mentioned at the top that I think he's going to get pretty steamed as well. People seem
12.
to think, 12.
Just
so
12, yeah.
We'll see how it actually comes in at the end. But yeah, he's interesting from that point there. Also, I think like JJ Spawn, Benny Ann, Michael Kim. Michael Kim sucks. Like he was so good and now he sucks. So it's like that's some of the stuff I look at. We'll see if he actually gets ownership. I like the Canadian boys that you talked about. Pendrith, Nick Taylor down there as well at 6,400. Lucas Glover, 6,600. I definitely have more interest. Max Homa finished 3rd here last year. If you want to try and do that, but I know you said you're out. Okay. You think he's completely done, but just maybe people will make that argument. But some of the guys, Kevin Yu, Highsmith, I'm not playing all of them. I'm just noting these are the types of guys that people will say there's no way they can do it here. Or they suck. And like 1 or 2 of them will somehow probably find a way to mix it in. Right. Versus, Adam Schenk is another guy. I think he actually, what does Schenk do? Last week he missed the cut, but I looked into this already. He had a really good round 2. The round 1 screwed him, and he finished 12th here last year. Before his run of missed cuts, he had a bunch of top 25s, or at least a couple. So I don't know. There's guys down in this range. Don't be afraid to mix in the 6K range. And this was a good question before we pull up Splash Sports there. Did you think that it does feel like more people are going to the live guys just because they can, right?
I think there's a 2 to 3 percentage point boost on just about all of them. Like people are going to be excited to play them. Haven't been able to click the name in a while. So I wouldn't be surprised to see all these guys come in 2 to 3 higher, 2 or 3 percentage points higher than a lot of, the ownership projection sites. So, John Rahm, Brooks, Neiman for sure. Sergio, Patrick Reed, like people are going to be excited to click the names because they haven't had the opportunity to do so in a while, unless you're grinding live DFS, which a lot of people are not.
I don't know, if this even matters here. I don't think anyone's going to care that he's last to tee up. I think people think that Seb Straka is being severely disrespected, and I don't know if the numbers actually say that. I don't know if the odds necessarily, I know he dropped in one place, like his betting odds, but that's because everybody hit him. But also other books were like, nah, we'll just hold steady on him and keep his number pretty solid. And you guys go ahead and keep betting this guy because winning the Masters is a big deal. But from a DFS perspective, I can see why he steams up because 7,600, just a super low price. Yeah. All right. Do you have the let's do a splash segment here. Let's get a draft in and go through it all. But I mean, we could talk more when it's pulled up and you've got it there. But just to note it, it's going to be 8 tiers, like you talked about. It's 8 golfers, top 7 count towards the score. And the scoring's super easy. It's -1 fantasy point for each stroke under par, 0 for a par, 1 for over par. And then it's 8 fantasy points. And obviously you want the negative, you want the under par score, but 8 fantasy points for missed or incomplete rounds. Worst scoring golfer does not count towards the score. And it's that simple. So you have done some of these pools in the past, Hoop, and I know you do it for you just literally won the it's different, but the college football, you were part of the chop there.
College basketball, yeah.
Yeah, well, I meant to say college basketball. Sorry, the NCAA there, but you were part of the chop, but it was a pretty chalky year in the Final Four, breaking it all down to the ultimate matchup last night and then seeing that shake out. But these pools have some theory behind them, right? You are playing against other people. We're still playing like a DFS style where the best score wins. It's just easier scoring, but give us your thoughts on this.
Yeah, it's just an easier game, simpler to play, less decisions. You don't need to fit within a certain salary cap. Like every guy in each tier is up for grabs. You can play them, but you get one guy in each tier. So the first one you look at it, you got Scotty, Rory, John Rahm, Morikawa, Bryson, Xander, Ludwig, Justin Thomas, Brooks, and Tadeki. So it's kind of similar to building a DFS lineup in the fact that where the popularity is going to be. Like if people can just click Scotty Scheffler over all these guys and not pay a price in terms of salary, they're going to do it. So you have to imagine Scotty, Rory going to be very popular in any sort of tier contest this week. So even like John Rahm will be much lower. Bryson's going to be much lower. get you a guy like Hideki in this group going to be very low. And so it's just a matter of what you want to do. And, you can apply a lot of the similar concepts along the way. If you're playing Scotty here, we'll plug him in. He's going to be the most popular. Now in tier 2, you might want to identify who's going to be popular in this range. Looking at this list, I don't know, probably pretty spread out, right? I mean,
this one's a lot more spread out. I was going to say in the first one, just doing it and going along on my screen, the L in Ludwig stands for leverage. Like you can get, even if it's not Scotty and Rory, people are going to go to Rahm or to Hideki or to Cantlay, like somebody else, not Cantlay, so he's in this one, but they're going to go to somebody different than that. The Morikawa, the Xanders, the Brysons, but Ludwig is a really solid play there because if he wins the tier 1, I mean, that can set you up for huge success everywhere else. You just went back to so you could see, but like that's what I was trying to show is even when they don't go with Scotty, it's going to be Rory, Rahm, Kawa, X, right in that order, Bryson. And then I don't think many are going to get to the JTs, Deckies, and Ludwigs of the world. So I do like that call of going with somebody like Ludwig, and then you can play it a little bit more chalky after that if you've got him beating all those other guys.
Yep, certainly. So you can MME in this too. I think our contest, you can play up to 16 different times. It's a very balanced payout structure as well. So you can put in different combinations, but you just keep going. And then their interface is very easy. Their app is very easy to use. Let's say, so we went Ludwig. We could go something a little more popular. Maybe it's Cantlay in this range. So click Cantlay, come to this next one. I think Bobby Mack's a name people are going to like to go to. I guess the one thing really, because you still got, how many guys are in this one, 2? So there's 10 guys. So like really it's going to get spread out. The initial one with Scotty and Rory, tier 1, a lot of people are going to click on those names. You come to stuff like this, it does probably get spread out quite a bit, I'd imagine.
I think that's like a prime thing. Obviously, we'll find different ones where it's not like that, but in tier 1 kind of sets the tone, right?
Yeah.
If it's Scotty week and everyone has Scotty, then it's going to matter more. If you play Ludwig, as we showed you, you can kind of pick what you want here. I think a lot of people will like Bobby Mack and Corey Connors. If those two are popular, that's fine. If you have Ludwig, play who you want. But if you like somebody else in this range, you can do that as well. It's more when it gets to what range are you on now? Like 4. This one, I think this will be a little more condensed because even though Harman won last week, I don't think people really love too many of these guys. And I think Patrick Reed, Justin Rose, like those are the guys that people feel more comfortable with at the Masters versus taking some risks on these other dudes. So this to me would be another condensed tier, I think.
Yeah, no one's going to really want Dustin Johnson.
Keegan, Rye and Sungjae, nobody likes them. Phil, people are taking a shot in DFS, but not, or on DraftKings, sorry, but not there. So I think that's kind of one where you got to think about it more. This one's another tricky one. It's, probably Adam Scott maybe is
Scott.
Popular.
Yeah, that'd be my guess. Probably Adam Scott. McNeely's been playing well. People might want to play him.
I'll take our boy Taylor Pendrith.
All right, good with that. Another, when you get down to these, deeper tiers, it's going to be a lot. I think people will feel comfortable with probably like Denny McCarthy here, maybe. You got the Højgaard brothers, Thomas Dietrich. I like my guy Michael Kings, so I'm going to select him.
All right.
Then it starts to fall off. Poston, Taylor, definitely not Max Homa. Chris Kirk. I always like Chris Kirk. And then let's see what tier. So tier 8 is basically everyone else. And you come to tier 8 and wow, yeah, it's
remember you get to drop somebody too though. So if you get somebody here
good point, yeah.
Through, one's gonna drop off anyway. So you can kind of think about that as part of your strategy as well when going through it. And here kind of just pick whoever you feel is going to do the best and run it. They could be a difference maker for you and you end up dropping somebody else, or they could be a throwaway anyway. So I wouldn't mind taking a shot on somebody, but I wouldn't go too far off the board because I don't think enough of them are going to be difference makers. So I'd be looking at like Kevin Yu, Schwartzel, Schenk, some of those guys versus trying to pick if Angel Cabrera is going to come out of the jail cell, win a tournament, and then show up at the Masters and get a green jacket again. I just don't see that happening, obviously. So for me, I'm going to look into some of these other guys, and you can dictate this too off the rest of your build. If you're already pretty chalky, get different elsewhere. But if overall you can kind of make a decision. You went Ludwig, you can do whatever you want.
And make it so easy. Their interface is great here. Like, okay, you go through all this, like, you know what? I picked a lot of I'm not saying I did, but I picked a lot of guys that are kind of off the board here. So you know what? I'm going to come back to tier 1, and I'm just going to play Scotty and just roll with it from there. So I mean, it's very, very simple to build teams, hit the tiers, make changes. It's easy on the app as well. A lot of big things on the horizon for not only Splash Sports but our partnership with Splash.
Yeah, that's the key, right? Remember, this is just a starting point. We talked about it, but the more we can get people, I think I said the more we show up and fill it, the more they'll grow it and build it. That's my one-liner for that one. And it is true. They've already told us, like, that's kind of the setup. If you guys have followed along, anything Splash Sports has done is legit. They bought Run Your Pool, My Office pools that people used to play in back in the day even. They've got all those people under one roof, and they're starting to do a lot more promotional stuff and different things around the industry where they are wanting to grow it. They've had backing come in. It's definitely legit, and they're working on a lot of other really big things, but it's real easy. You just go to splashsports.com/SHIPIT. You'll be able to be in this contest, join. If you use code SHIPIT, you get a bonus after this contest ends. So as long as you play at least one entry in our contest, you are going to be able to go ahead from there. But the more you support it and help it grow, the more we can do some fun stuff with it and have some bigger stuff in the future. They've talked to us about that already. So really excited for this other partnership we've got now with another site that's not just sports betting or DFS. It's a mixture of everything that we do. Community, peer-to-peer, DFS style with different scoring. And again, like we said, we're teasing it, but it's because it's not official yet. But the more we get in there and fill this stuff up, the more they're going to be able to do for us and for our community. So it should be really good when it comes to that. Hoop, anything else? Final thoughts? Anything else you want to cover before we get out of here?
Yeah, big week. Very excited. I mean, the best promo in the industry by far. If you sign up using that code DGen75, I mean, $24 for the first month, less than $1 a day with SaberSim access. Like, absolutely insane. Other sites are running deals. Nobody's deal is anywhere close to this deal. Just keep that in mind, no matter what. If you're signing up for content this week, nobody's deal is better than this deal that you're seeing right here on the screen. That's not like a bullshit marketing approach. That's just the truth. It's the facts, and it's very simple. If you're interested in content, which we have the best content and the best optimizer together, this is the best deal. You can't beat it.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been waiting on the sidelines to check it out. So if you've been waiting forever to, like, I really want to check it out, now's the time to do so. So use the code DGen75. You go to the $99 monthly package. That's what it works on. So just make sure you go to that. You'll be able to enter it there and be good to go. If you are looking to get the ultimate, we've added the weekly for $99 or the first month for $297. Like it states down here, you can see all the differences on our site, shipitnation.com/join. But it's the Masters. It's going to be a fun week. Excited for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. For Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo. Oh, I got to stop it. I never stopped an intro for a long time. The $9.99 giveaway. We have the winner.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's important.
Read it out. I know you got it written down over there. Shout out to this winner. It's a $9.99 membership to the site. So it's just going back up. We're giving away the annual Optimizer Core Package to this person. Who's the winner, Hoop?
God damn, I wrote it down. Now I can't freaking find
Uncle TK71?
Yes.
At Uncle TK71 will reach out on X as well, but appreciate you supporting, being a subscriber. The giveaway was for 10,000 YouTube subscribers. So we've been working on that. Now the goal is to get to 15,000. Then from there, we'll go to 20. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. For Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo, with the thumbs up freeze, let's ship it!